To make a gallon of tea, you need to use between 9 to 16 tea bags, depending on your preference. I'm thinking like 16 for me. Hello, today we are talking guides. What guides and why? It's a question I get so many times when people are building their rods. They want to know what guides they need to choose. And I understand, it's a minefield. There's thousands of guide options out there. And if you don't know what you're using and for why, it's gonna be a problem. So I thought, how about we're gonna go through a few options and talk about why you're going to choose that guide over another guide, and hopefully that'll give you an idea what you should be looking at. This is RodBuilding. What guide should you choose and why? I'm Gary Benny, English rod builder living in Sweden. I've been building rods for many years, and now you're going to join me in my workshop going through tips, tricks, techniques, tools of the trade, all the things you want to know when you're coming to build a rod. We're going to drink a lot of tea, so join me on the ride. Let's have some fun. This is RodBuilding. Let's do this. So, I just picked up the American Tackle catalog because I was just interested how many different guides there is in just this company. And it's, from what I can work out, over 50 different frame styles before we even consider different options of ceramic, finish, and material. So we're talking hundreds of different guides, and that's just not talking sizes, that's just talking frame styles. So it's thousands of guides, so no wonder you guys get confused. Now, I think we should start going through and jumping into a few different frame options and working out, why we would choose that over another guide, and then maybe you can use that information to apply it to your builds. So next time when you're coming to build a rod, you've got that information and you can adapt it, and maybe it'll help you choose without getting too confused. Now, I guess one thing that we need to talk about is a guide and a ring. Now, this is something that, depending on where you are in the world, you might say it differently. Generally, I know people in the UK, where I'm from, would actually say this is a ring. And that's kind of incorrect, because actually the whole thing is a guide and inside is the ring. It's a bit like saying a tire or a wheel, so you need to think about these things. And when we're talking about the guide, we're talking about the whole. When we're talking about the ring, we're talking about just the insert inside. So frame styles, why choose a certain style over another? And I think realistically the best answer is there. It is personal preference, it's aesthetics. You can choose whatever you want for whatever rod you're going to build. It is entirely up to you. Generally speaking though, heavier powered rods for bigger species, you want something that's going to be more robust, and the lighter, you want to grade it down. And that's just going to help with the rod's feel, the balance. It's going to make it feel easier to fish with. Casting, the recovery of the tip will be better. You might achieve better distances, for example. Some people will choose single frame guides, also to reduce weight for certain spinning rods. Some people want more durability, so they'll choose with a double foot frame. Now, it's gone on in leaps and bounds over the years, and modern technology has really pushed forward. We have original sort of cradle style guides. This is a completely metal frame and metal ring. The whole guide is completely steel. It's kind of regarded as an old-fashioned guide, but they still go on a lot of rods. You can see these on fly stripper guides in smaller sizes. They have been popular for that, but generally speaking, salt water. They're good. They're not that heavy really for the size. It's, like I said, it's a bit outdated now, but they also look really cool, and I know a lot of retro builds do like these. So that's one sort of different style. And then moving forward light years, you've got, again, it's got no ceramic ring, it's a metal press ring, and that is the Thai Forged Air. So this is going totally more modern. It's an anti-wrap frame, forward lean, matte black. So that's your two contrasts. But you can see directly, it's much higher, it's much bigger. So why would you choose this one over this one? It all comes down to what you're gonna use. Just think about what line you're gonna use, what species you're gonna fish for, and what the durability is you're trying to achieve. What guides and why? It's a tricky one. We need to really go back to the basics and think about what would make you start looking at what guides? And by that I mean the best rule of thumb is to start with what is the rod you're going to be building. A fly rod, saltwater rod, freshwater rod, what are you going to be doing? Then you want to be thinking about what pound line you want to be using, what size reel you're going to be using, and that's really going to help you. Then of course you've got some anomalies you're going to chuck in just to make things even more complicated. Are they going to be fishing when it's really cold? Is the small guys going to freeze over? Things like that. And then of course you need to be thinking what they're going to be really doing with it. They need a ceramic guide or they need a ceramics-free guide. And what I mean by that is if they're traveling in the Amazon, they break a ceramic, they haven't really got a chance to repair it there and then. So a really robust, durable ring like that is going to be a little bit more secure and durable. So let's start thinking about, firstly, if we're going to be doing saltwater guide rods. Again, it's a bit tricky. You need to be thinking about, firstly, what they're going to be fishing for. If you're going to be looking for big tuna and things like that, you want to be using a very heavy frame, something that's going to take a lot of pressure and be very, very strong. You want to be looking at things like Virtus heavies. You want to be looking at trolling guides. I mean, all these here are designed for heavy duty applications. At the same time, there is such a thing as light saltwater fishing. So there you can adapt down and change the guides. As long as you're using titanium frames or stainless steel frames, you don't really have to worry too much about corrosion, but of course you need to wash down. If you're a salt guy, you know you should always wash down the guides to stop that happening. When it comes to freshwater, again, it can be an absolute minefield of things. You've got carp guides. Now, these are absolutely massive. Why would you use this over, let's say, this? I mean, the frame isn't that far apart. Yeah, the height's a bit different, but we're going to be looking at why would you use this? So let's think about it. We're going to use a very big pit reel, very large circumference. The coils coming off of the reel are going to be very big, and that first guide needs to accommodate all those large coils coming in, and then we're going to get smaller after that. Also, we're trying to do extreme distance casting, so you want to reduce the friction, and a larger guide coil will be achieving that better. Of course, you've got 50mm ceramic titaniums, you've got stainless steel ceramics. So again, there's lots of different options. Nothing is really wrong, it's just also personal preference. It's what you want to choose. If your money's no object, maybe you want to go really lightweight, you want to go black titanium, for example, or tie-forged airs, which are stainless steel but still very light. But if you want ultimate premium and flexibility, titanium frames offer more flex and durability for saltwater. So it really is about learning what you want to do. If you were to come to me today and say, I want to build a set of carp rods, I would be looking at Vortex airs or tie-forged airs. Or if I knew I was going to be doing a lot of braided boat work, then I'd probably opt for ceramic, because nothing can beat the hardness of a ceramic center. So if I haven't confused you too much already, I'm about to do it even more. We're now going to look at sort of standoffs, so the height of the guide and where that makes sort of the most important rules for what you're going to choose. Now, this guide here, as you can see, is quite a high standoff. Now, that ring is no bigger than that one. One is standard, one is high. So why would you choose a high over a low? Well, generally speaking, it's because the reel's going to sit higher off the blank. But not only that, for some vertical jigging rods, you don't want the line coming off of the reel to here on the first guide, and when the rod bends over to be cutting into that foregrip. It's also going to be risking cutting your thumb. So what you're going to do by putting this guide on instead of this one is you're raising the height of the line, and that's very important. Perfect for vertical jigging. When it comes to spinning reels, again, you've always seen spinning reels and casting reels. A casting reel is much lower to the blank. The line is much tighter to the blank. That means you don't need to have the guide so high off. You can cast a casting reel on a spinning rod guide, and you can cast a spinning rod on a casting rod guide, but it's not optimal, and we're just talking about making it perfect. So what we're trying to do is keep the line as straight as possible to the tip guide, controlling it as a line guide. We're guiding the line up through the rod. So on there, chucking it out, what's double foot, what's single foot? It's a very easy one. It's how many feet the guide has to attach it to the blank. 2 is double, 1 is single. It's that simple. People get a little bit confused when they say, oh, is it 3 leg or 1 or 2 leg? Now just think about the feet. 1, 2, and 1. That's very simple. Obviously, a single foot is going to be working with the blank a little bit better because it doesn't have any point that is going to sort of want to make the blank more rigid. So when American Tackle produce their guides, they think about that, and they always give the guides some sort of flex. Hinge point designs like the quad leg means they're going to work with the blank, and that's very important. You can buy any guide you want from any manufacturer, but one thing about American Tackle is they're all thought through to make sure they're perfect for the job. So what else is to think about? Well, I guess you've got to think about the fishing style. That's pretty important. And by that I mean, if you're going to be casting when it's freezing cold, you might not want micro guides. If you're going to be casting big heavy baits, you might be using thicker lines. So you might want to up the ceramic size, so you've got a larger leader knots going through, for example. Maybe, I don't know, you're thinking about, you're doing a lot of tip frap ups when you're casting loose casts and stuff. You don't want titanium, you want stainless steel. So everything is based around, you need to ask yourself or the customer, what are you going to do with the rod? What is the rod's main purpose? And of course, you can try to make it lighter, but you might lose some durability. You might want it cheaper, but again, you might lose some durability. So it's all about working out where your guide needs to sit. And if you can work out that, generally speaking, you choose a microwave guide. No, I'm only joking. But realistically, you need to really think about where your guide needs to be, for what purpose, and that should make it a lot easier. So let's think about the main points of why to choose a guide. There's no real right or wrong answer, is there? We're looking for an answer that doesn't really exist. There's some rules to follow, but realistically, you're the one that's going to make the decisions. So thank you very much. I've had fun going through this, even though I've confused myself a little bit. Make sure to like this video and of course subscribe to our channel. If you've got any questions about the guide options, you can call American Tackle and we'll gladly go over each one for you. Have a look at the catalog, the website, look on YouTube, you'll find lots of information about our products. Make sure to comment in the sections below and subscribe to our channel. This is RodBuilding, that's a wrap.